What if nothing's wrong with you? What if everything about you is perfect?
So many people on like TikTok, social media are chronically against men or women against men or men against women or telling all these trauma stories, bad dates and all this, that is exacerbating people's fears of being in relationships or projecting how the opposite sex is. Do you think it's infiltrating a lot of people's minds, like a negative propaganda?
Yes, and it always has. It just wasn't so readily available or fed through an algorithm to you. But I mean, we literally have wound communities, trauma communities, and within those communities, there's even a competition for who's the most traumatized.
Yeah.
I distinguish between emotions and feelings. So emotions, if you think of two nervous systems, the emotions are limbic system related. So perception of a threat or an opportunity will have a chemical reaction. Chemistry is literally a chemical reaction. Fear. Someone once said emotion is energy in motion. So if you think of the things that zoom around our body, the anger spectrum does that. Chemistry does that. Fear does that. And then there's feelings. Feelings have a place. Feelings have a location. There's actually a place in your body where patience lives, where compassion lives, where happiness lives, where power lives. And they're stable. Those places are stable, and you can actually check that place like a tank. How much patience do I have? Okay, I got half a tank. I'll be out by 6 o'clock, right? And the thing is that feelings are tied to spiritual qualities. And having a feeling of patience means you're embodying that spiritual value of patience. Emotions, I assert, are addictive. Anger is addictive. Fear is addictive. Chemistry, forget crack. Just people are so addicted to chemistry, which is a combination of testosterone and epinephrine. So the fear thing and the trauma thing and the anger and then algorithms that are going to feed you another thing about that, another thing about that, you might as well just shooting up. It's debilitating. You may need a profound spiritual experience to disconnect from the association that is aliveness. That means you're alive. And most people identify with alive, and anger feels powerful. It feels like power. It's not power, but it feels like power. And so if you feel powerless and then you're furious, it seems like the solution. No, it doesn't actually address the real inability to cause one's own life. My youngest daughter was just explaining TikTok to me and the algorithm on TikTok and how brilliant it is.
Scarily brilliant.
Scarily brilliant. I am pleased, though, because every week we have people come to our website and they reference TikTok, that they got there because of TikTok. So once they get on the path of all the content that we keep putting out there, which I'm a messenger, so I'll say it any way I can to get through. I'll swear like a sailor, or I'll talk like I have a PhD, or I'll do whatever it takes to get through. So fortunately, if you get connected on like a self-development, personal growth, healthy relationships algorithm, then you'll get a different drug that has a chance of making a difference.
Yeah, you get to choose the drug that you take on social media. Every day you get to essentially vote for what drug you're going to take with whatever content you like and
it's a good way to put it. Yeah. Do I want a pity party? Do I want to, have a fury fiesta? This is the community of righteous indignation. And
yeah.
I soon learned when I gave up emasculating men and treating y'all as if you were misbehaving on purpose in order to hurt me or because you didn't care about me. When I gave that up, and then when we started our workshops 30 years ago, I started like being really clear. Like, this is a new paradigm. Every paradigm has things that it lends itself to. It just naturally will happen in that paradigm. And every paradigm has things it disallows. And if you want to take on the world I inhabit, it is a paradigm in which righteous indignation can't breathe. Like, you adopt, what if no one's misbehaving? You can't even have righteous indignation at what's wrong with me, right? What's wrong with oneself, which people are very much engaged in. They're sure if they can just figure out what's wrong with them, then all of life will turn out. What if nothing's wrong with you? What if everything about you is perfect? Everything. Maybe you don't know. That's where Lux begins, the course I encourage most people to go to. I don't know if you've had a chance to do it. It's online, and it teaches a process of honoring oneself. And you'd think a process of honoring would end up at respect. It teaches a process of honoring begins at respect, granting innate value. What if you granted innate value to everything about yourself? And then after that, go seeking the value. Right? If you're not seeking, you won't see, even if it's standing right in front of you. But it doesn't produce those kind of things that make people feel alive.
Yeah, you don't get that addictive payoff, that like passionate emotion. I mean, people love that.
Yeah,
passion.
Joy is more peaceful.
Yeah. But what, I mean, I've always wondered why, like if you look at the definition of passion,
Yes.
it's a barely controllable emotion. That's what passion is. Then I wonder, like, why would you want to have a barely controllable emotion? That seems almost dangerous, right? But it feels good. And I think that's why people go for it. But you're right, peace is maybe more difficult to attain. It takes more work.
Yeah, I have to relook up passion. I'm mostly a dictionary girl. But I think of, so if you think of these two nervous systems, right? And if you think of that everything exists in both domains, right? So in the domain of, it's not even human animal, it's more primitive than that. But so if you take the domain of instinct and the number one instinct to procreate, and it shows up in creativity and entrepreneurship, in sex, in the sex drive. Nature's brilliant.
Nature's brilliant and bonkers.
And what?
Bonkers.
And bonkers. Well, nature, if you look at from the point of view of survival, if that's the point, it's brilliant.
Yeah. We
are a species that is smaller and weaker and physically more vulnerable and without protective covering, without claws, right? We don't have fangs. There's so much we're missing. And I used to propose this in our workshop. Like if you wanted to have a species that didn't have any of these things, how do you make sure it survives? You create a man.
Create a man.
You create a man. Yes. What if you're perfect? You're perfectly built, like the single focus on what you think is most important, and don't waste energy on anything that isn't really important. And even track vision, the faster it's going, the easier you can track it. And I mean, you are built for throwing spears and footballs, right? And your brain screen out everything irrelevant to what you've committed yourself to. So you're not distractible. But then you're paired with a female who's got a completely different awareness, scanning all the time for danger. You hunt, I'll scan. Right? But we literally have a different vision. And they did an experiment in London where they took men and women to a grocery store, went up and down the aisles and pointed out specific items, then blindfolded them, drove them miles and miles away. Women are not known for spatial intelligence. In fact, we're condemned for it. But 100% of the time, they would name, it wasn't 100% of the time, there's a higher percentage. So they would name an item. And most likely the women who point in the direction of that item, They didn't know where they were, but they'd point in the direction of that item. The higher the caloric value of the item, the more accurate the women were. That's survival.